Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my 10 before the end, or 10 books that I want to read before the end of 2024. Now this is a pretty ambitious list in a lot of ways, because really, in reality, it's 15 before the end. Like, I have to read 15 books I don't technically have to read 15 books. I have to read like 12 to finish the books in my physical TBR. But I added a few to this list because there's some books that I want to read to finish up some series before the end of the year. If you've been following my series and goal things throughout the year, these are these conflicting things that have been happening for a while of finish my TBR but also finish series. They're kind of in conflict. And by TBR I mean the books that were on my TBR at the beginning of this year, because I'm still adding to it, because of course. So these are the books that are like a mix of kind of like 3 goals-ish / some vibes things. So let's get into it. First is a reread, and that is To Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is the first book in the, I don't actually know if they say what the series is called. I knew at some point. I don't remember right now. This is a science fiction series that is set in a utopian kind of society. Very interesting and cool. I read this first book years ago, maybe before 2020. I feel like I read it in 2017. It's been a minute. And so I'm I need to read the next book soon, and that next book is on my shelf as part of my physical TBR to be read before the end of the year, right? So I need to reread this one to get to that one. That one being Seven Surrenders. I think this is a 5-book series, so don't really know at all how this series continues. I'll just say the first book, unreliable narrator, very interesting, fucked up kind of premise in some ways, very cool, but very big brain in a lot of ways. Not military sci-fi big brain, but just new and interesting sci-fi big brain way. So yeah, then I want to read Seven Surrenders. Then I want to pick up The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is the first book in this, I think they called it Silk Punk fantasy series. So it's four books, I think. And it's just an epic fantasy series that's set in, I want to say it's medieval China or something. The book doesn't actually say. It's that kind of inspired setting. But yeah, there's a bunch of different POVs that are going to interweave and stuff. I read this, or tried to read it for the first time, I think in 2020 or 2019, around the same time that I read Malice, which I just read and finished recently. Got 140 pages into this one. Don't remember a thing about it from back then. And then I set it down and I was I should read it at a different time. So I'm hoping I have the same experience that I had with Malice, where I read this, pick it back up, really enjoy it. So yeah, but I've been wanting to read this for a while. And then we have The Emperor of All Maladies. This is a biography of cancer. It says it's basically the story of cancer. I've had this on my shelf for so long. So these first 4 books are, well, not counting To Like the Lightning because I've already read it. These books have all been on my TBR since before 2021 or 2021. So I wanted to get all of these off my shelf as priority reads of my TBR books. If I weren't to actually finish my TBR, which we'll see, it's going to be so the line. I don't know. But if I weren't to finish that TBR goal, I would at least want to get these read. So these are the highest priority. Then second highest priority, but also a priority because some of them overlap with the other goal of my TBR goal, are books that would finish up series that I'm are currently ongoing, so I could finish them before the end of the year. So for that, we have Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is the 3rd and final book in the Live Ship Trader series. And yeah, I pretty much have read that this whole year, so I want to finish it up this year. This is also a book that's on my physical TBR, so it would hit both goals. Then we have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I read Divine Rivals earlier this year and really loved it. So I just want to finish up this series. I just want it to be done. I picked this up in a bookshop recently because I was wow, it's a duology. I could just finish the series, and I want to. So we're going to try to do that. And then For the Throne by Hannah Whitten. Another duology. This is a fantasy duology that is the first book followed one sister who was given to the wolf, who is this magical man in the forest, basically. I'm just doing a short summary for this. This is following the other sister, who in the first book we had some POV of, we had some of her chapters, even though it wasn't primarily her book, but she got into some shit back in the palace. And so she's the royal, for the throne versus for the wood. So yeah, she got into some dark shit. So yeah, I want to finish up this series because I got this one for my birthday, and it's a duology. And I want to finish it before the end of the year. And then finally, for wrapping up the top 10, the last 3 books are books that just I feel the most called to. If I was only going to read 10, it would be these, even though technically there's 5 more that I would want to read. First is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. I actually have the first and second book on my TBR, so hopefully I'll get to both of them before the end of the year, fingers crossed. But this is the first book in a fantasy series that a lot of people have told me about. It has political intrigue, there's tarot card magic, I think the main character's a thief. It just really speaks to me, and so this one has definitely been pulling at me for a while. Yes, I wrapped up some other series to potentially start another one before the end of the year. I know. A few of the last few books in my TBR are actually that. It's like first books in series. I'm like, damn it, which is why I kind of want to like finish up series and do TBR things. Then we have Masquerade by Oo Sengoyemi. This is a book that we want to read for book club. I think it's the November book club pick. It's the one that I picked. Because shocker, it's loosely based on the myth of Persephone, but it's set in West Africa. Yeah, it's like a West African fantasy Hades Persephone, or myth of Persephone at least. Yeah, I definitely want to read that. I definitely want to read that ASAP. The fact that I haven't read it yet is a crime. And finally, we have The Deep Sky by Yumi Katashi, I think is how you say the name. This is a standalone sci-fi that's also hopefully a book that we'll be reading for book club. I think that's supposed to be, was it supposed to be October? We were really behind. Even if we don't read it for book club, I plan on reading it before the end of the year. This is following like a spaceship that fled from Earth to like a new livable planet, and then halfway to that planet, they got blown off course by an explosion. And our main character is the only surviving witness to that explosion, so she is a prime suspect, but she is obviously willing to stay on the ship, and she, like the crew is kind of falling apart around her, so this is like one of those like sort of generation ship, I mean I don't think it's generation necessarily, but it's like a science ship, closed circle mystery, like because they can't get off the ship and something has happened, whatever. So it's a like sci-fi mystery-ish story. So I hear it's gonna be really good because I've heard some people have already read it and really love it. So yeah, those are my highest priority reads. Again, like I said, there's like a few more. If you're curious what the other ones are, I'm not gonna show you, but it's Land of Milk and Honey, Children of Time, that's by Adrian Shipkowski. I'm forgetting the author's name for Land of Milk and Honey. The Book That Wouldn't Burn, I think that's Mark Lawrence. Justice of Kings, forgetting what that author's name is, and then the second book, that Liar's Not, that I already mentioned, by M.A. Craig. So those are the remaining ones, and a lot of those are very large, plus the ones that I showed you. So I'm filming this before it's coming out, but you will be seeing this after it's coming out. Dragon Age is coming out on Halloween. I'm filming this like a few days before Halloween, and that's gonna take up a lot of my time. So I'm a little nervous about my reading goals, which is why these are the top 10 priorities, because I think I could probably get 10 read. But all my spare time is going to be spent playing Dragon Age, so I don't know. Anyway, comment below, let me know your 10 before the end. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.